Hey guys, welcome back to the BuzWeaver channel. And in our top stories today, this was an article from The Atlantic on Friday. And I find it interesting because I don't see opinion or editorial in this article anywhere. So it's kind of curious why they wrote it. But then this is The Atlantic. These are the same people that, of course, wrote the article, "Stay alive, Joe Biden. Democrats need a little from the frontrunner beyond his corporeal presence." So there you have it. Even the left acknowledging that they just needed Joe's existence for the establishment uni-party to use him as a surrogate. So keep in mind here, this is The Atlantic. How Democrats could disqualify Trump if the Supreme Court doesn't. Without clear guidance from the court, House Democrats suggest they might not certify a Trump win on January 6th. Of course, this is all just feeding the base, the left, the progressives, the establishment uni-party ilk, keeping them content, right? Keeping them moving along, the carrot on the stick. Of course, maybe so they don't turn against each other or turn against them. Near the end of the Supreme Court's oral arguments about whether Colorado could exclude former President Donald Trump from its ballots as an insurrectionist, oh my goodness, an insurrectionist, the attorney representing voters from the state offered a warning to justices. Oh my goodness, he offered them a warning. Oh my gosh. One evoking the January 6th riot that set the case in motion. Now, one could argue riot, demonstration, whatever you want to call it. Why is it that the demonstrations and riots that actually took place after the George Floyd incident took place, why is this never mentioned or re-mentioned? The mostly peaceful burning and rioting and so forth that went on. Not to mention what happened in Minnesota there as well. By this point in the hearing, the justices had made clear that they didn't like the idea of allowing a single state to kick Trump off of the presidential race, or out of the presidential race. And they didn't appear comfortable with the court doing so either. Sensing that Trump would likely stay on the ballots, the attorney Jason Murray said that if the Supreme Court didn't resolve the question of Trump's eligibility, it could come back with a vengeance after the election when Congress meets once again to count and certify the votes of the Electoral College. Oh my goodness, are they participating in their own insurrection themselves? Is he threatening the Supreme Court by suggesting that the Democrats could create their own January 6th event? Now you see here, I find it fascinating because this is a game. This is what irritates me. This is what annoys me. This is a game. This is a mental gymnastic exercise by the Democrats who clearly understand how things work, how the Supreme Court works, how these things work. This is the game they play to try to lead the carrot on the stick. Now, of course, I had to go to the archive because it's behind a paywall. All these sorts of articles that kind of incite their base, that excite the left, are all behind a paywall because they want to make money from it. This is their grift, right? This is a total grift. And it's just absolutely ridiculous. The justice could conclude definitively that Trump is eligible to serve another term as president. The 14th Amendment bars people from who have engaged in insurrection or rebellion. Yeah, that was for the officers of the Confederacy. The officers of the Confederacy. You see, this is the stupidest thing in the world where the Democrats take something that they obviously know what it was meant for and then pervert it with their own stupidity and ignorance and manipulative practices. But it does not define the terms. It doesn't. It doesn't say president. It doesn't say president on there. This was specifically for, and everyone knows it. They know it. The Supreme Court knows it, that it was directed towards the Confederate officers. That's what it was for. They know this, and it's just an absurd game they play. And, of course, here we had, back when there was oral arguments, overall take based on the oral argument, highly likely the Department of Justice team wins going away. In other words, they're not going to succeed. At least 6-3, more likely 8-1, possibly 9-0, that may not all agree on the same reasons for it, but basically they don't like what Colorado has done. Because as the justices says, and I'm going to read from that over here in this section here, is because if states could decide who can and can't be on the ballots, then we're going to have this, what we've always talked about, and why we have the Electoral College. We would have states that would only allow for the election of a particular president. This is why we have the Electoral College and not popular vote. Are people starting to understand this? Justices also wondered about the particular implications of allowing the provision to be interpreted on a state-by-state basis. I think that the question that you have to confront is why a single state should decide who gets to be president of the United States. Justice Elaine Keegan. This is a left justice, right? Many of the left justices, one of the 3 liberal justices, as it says here, told Jason Murray, the lawyer representing Colorado voters. So you see here at least the Supreme Court justices, to an extent, and of course we've always said here on the BuzWeaver channel, they are supposed to base their rulings on law, not politics, not their opinion, on law. They have to be objective. They have to base everything on law. And that's what we're seeing here. And that's what's concerning. That's why you're not seeing as much of this being mentioned in the mainstream media as it was, because the Supreme Court justices have expressed their oral arguments. They've expressed their concerns. Again, going back to the fact that this is why we have an electoral college, why we don't have popular vote, because if it were left up entirely to the states, I should say, if it was entirely left up to the states, we would have just states picking who they only want to represent the United States. And here's the thing. Voting belongs to the people. It doesn't belong to the states. It doesn't belong to the federal government. It doesn't belong to the political parties. It belongs to the people because we're a constitutional republic. We are not a democracy. We are a constitutional republic with democratically elected officials. You see how they twist these things and pervert these things and mold them into their own images of what they want people to understand, what they want people to interpret. And this is what's so disgusting and evil by these establishment uni-party media, mainstream media outlets. It's absolutely inexcusable what they're doing, playing this base. And of course, they're still doing the Russia, Russia, Russia argument. Isn't it fascinating that they can't offer the American people something more worthwhile than a $150,000 ad campaign by the Russians to disparage Joe Biden? That they can't come up with they can't come up with better solutions. They can't come up with better answers. They can't come up with incentives for people to vote for them. So instead, what do? The blame game. They just continue to blame. But this article is absolutely extraordinary. I mean, I think it's amazing to think that here, all this time accusing Donald Trump of engaging in insurrection, inciting an insurrection, accusing Trump supporters or those participating in January 6th as insurrectionists, and here they are threatening to not certify the election, which is exactly what they were trying to say Trump was doing. It's absolutely fascinating, is it not? They never hold themselves to the same standards they expect from everyone else. These people live in a delusional world of absurdity, and this is why I don't agree with the left in any way, shape, or form. And here's the fascinating thing. We here on the BuzWeaver channel, we understand what they're trying to say. We understand what they're doing. We can see it in plain sight, but they can't understand how we can see what they're doing and the absurdity of their practices, their ideologies, their philosophies, and their worldviews. It's absolutely absurd. But I find it fascinating, don't you? I welcome your opinions and comments down below. Here the Democrats are suggesting that they were going to engage in the very thing they've just been accusing Donald Trump of. I find it fascinating, don't you? Be sure to hit that like button, of course, and I've just added the join feature. There were some people asking me about membership, so I did add the join button there. It'll be to the left below the video, right next to my BuzWeaver icon or avatar area. So if you are interested in being a monthly donator to the channel, that is a way to do it. Of course, I try to make it as easy for you guys as possible because, of course, you liking and sharing the content and commenting is good because, of course, it lets the algorithm know that conservative commentary is welcome here on YouTube. And so, of course, it helps the channel entirely. And, of course, all of you guys across New Tech, that's Odyssey, that's BitChute, that's Rumble. You guys have been amazing. People on Minds as well, on my social medias. And, of course, you can find all those below this video if you guys want to follow me there because your support, as easy as that, is always appreciated. And, of course, that's what I had for you guys today. And appearing there on the screen, that would be the channel icon. You guys can click on to subscribe to the channel, as well as to select notifications. That way you know when there's content here on the channel. And I'll see all you guys in the next video.